Hi, my name is Yasna Kalan, and today I'm meeting with the Dodds family, and we're going to discuss my findings for the Calgary family assessment. For the purposes of the video, could you guys please state your names?
I'm Allison Dodds.
And I'm Wyatt Dodds.
Okay. And just kind of to give you guys an overview on how this will work, I'm going to talk a little bit about the structural and functional aspects of your family, and then we're going to move into some strengths and weaknesses or challenges. Then I'll give you the four nursing diagnoses that I came up with that would address your situation, and then we'll talk about some interventions and see where we go from there, okay? Wyatt is 25 years old, correct?
Yes.
Allison is 23. They've been married for nearly 3 years. They don't currently have any children. Wyatt has recently finished school, and he's began to launch his engineering career. He does that at a location that's almost 2 hours from where you currently live. But Allison is finishing up her nursing degree here in May, so they made the decision that they would stay at their location that they are now, and that Wyatt would continue to commute until Allison is finished, and then she'll get a job near his job, and they'll establish the residency up there, buy a house, and do all those sort of things, and kind of begin life and their careers at the same time in their new location. When we talk about the structural aspects of your family, a lot of times we go back and look at your childhood. So I know when we previously met, Allison, you shared that you're the oldest in your family. You have a younger sister who's 18 years old, who you're very close to. You guys were both raised by your biological parents, who are still currently still married. So you had strong family bonds, strong marital examples of strong marriages. Wyatt, you are on the other side, the baby of the family. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you have an older brother and an older sister, correct?
Yes.
Okay. When we also talk about how you were raised, you both have shared with me that faith was a big part of your upbringing. You were both raised in churches where you went to services on a weekly basis or bi-weekly. So that was kind of a strong aspect of your upbringing. I would say, as we had talked, that you have like a traditional upbringing, and your parents had kind of a traditional division of labor in your houses. Your moms took care of the houses, cooking, cleaning. Dads took care of the yards, repairs on the cars.
Yep.
Yeah, that sort of thing. And so far, you guys have maintained those examples as well in your divisions of labor, right? Financially, talk about finances, and the way you guys have described your finances and the way you looked at finances. I would say you would also have a conservative approach to finances. You don't want to overextend, you don't want to live on credit, live within your means. And both being in college for the last couple of years of your marriage, that's probably been a challenge. So now, if you can do it at this point, we know that hopefully that'll just continue to get easier as your income increases with your careers. So, health-wise, you guys are both very healthy. You don't take any daily medications. And Allison, I think you shared you have had one surgical procedure, your tonsils out when you were a kid. Yeah. Wyatt, a couple of surgeries on your knees.
Yep.
ACLs.
Yep.
Okay. So that's great. You guys are in good shape. Obviously, within your normal limits for weight and those sort of things. So that's great. When we begin to talk about like functional aspects, we talk about a lot of times like your communication styles and what you bring to the table in those regards as a couple. Allison, you're very outgoing, find it easy to share your feelings. Wyatt, you've kind of expressed that you're a little more reserved, takes a little bit more to bring that out of you. But I found that when we were talking about that, when you guys described that, I really looked at that as you can complement each other well, and that lends itself well to your strengths as a couple, where you can kind of draw him out, and he can kind of maybe tone you down sometimes and help you think about what you need to say before it comes out, you know. Additionally, for strengths, definitely, you guys are hardworking. I know you've both been working here and there part-time at times through school so that you can maintain your finances and living within your means. Obviously very goal-oriented. I'm sure when you guys decided to get married, people were like, ooh, why don't you wait until maybe after you were done with school? But you chose to forge forward, you know, work towards your goals together with determination, and I think that really shines through in the strength of your relationship. And as your, family. Because right now you guys are the family, but hopefully that'll extend in the future. When we start to talk about maybe more challenging situations within your relationship or within your life. First of all, faith community. I know you guys have shared that you have a very strong faith. You believe in God. You believe in a prayer life, but you found it a little challenging to find a place in your current location that really matches what you believe and where you feel comfortable and where you feel like you could really be a part of that community. I think in this big transition in your life right now, you guys are finished, you're finishing school, state boards, starting new jobs, hopefully buying a house soon, house hunting, establishing yourselves in a new location. It might have been a little easier if you had the support of a faith community right now. So that'll be definitely a priority as you transition to your new location. When another area that can be a challenge, especially as you start out as a young married couple, is you've both shared with me how close you are to your extended families. You talk to your parents several times a week. They're very involved of what's going on in your lives. Of course, that can become a little bit of a challenge at times when we establish our boundaries, and making sure that everybody gives advice and encouragement, but doesn't overstep and offer what they don't need. So as we talk about the nursing diagnoses in your situation, before that I came up with were, and this is just saying we're at risk for these things. So we're going to implement things to hopefully avoid them. At risk for fatigue related to long commute, long study hours, as evidenced by a lack of energy. Number 2, at risk for increased stress overload related to multiple stressors. You guys are going through a lot right now, evidenced by increased anxiety, those sort of things. Number 3, at risk for a little bit of spiritual distress related to that lack of faith community, and evidenced by impaired decision making. Sometimes we can get into a spot where we kind of start questioning things with our faith, and we kind of get into an area of indecision in our lives. And then 4, at risk for marital distress related to establishing those boundaries with our families, and it would be evidenced by conflict within the marriage. Okay, so as we talk about those 4 nursing diagnoses, what are we going to do to kind of address them? Fatigue. Obviously, you're on the road, close to 4 hours a day. Yeah. So you're getting up super early to try to avoid the traffic. So of course you've got to maintain getting to bed on time. That's got to be a priority. And also, as it's springtime, make sure you're getting out 15 minutes, even on your lunch break. Get some sunshine, kind of refresh. You sit at your desk mainly, probably at your office. So you're sitting in the car, you're sitting at work. Make sure you're just getting some fresh air, some sunshine, and kind of rejuvenate yourself that way. Or a walk after dinner together. Quick little things just to kind of refresh yourself. Keeps that fatigue at a minimum, hopefully. That goes along with stress management, the second one. We've got to put those things in place. Allison, I know you've shared how important exercise is in your routine. So finding those little times to get some exercise, as well as take 2 hours out of your weekend away from the books. Go watch a movie together. Make sure you're meeting your friends for dinner and coffee and those sort of things. Maintaining some outside time with your friends and to where you have some downtime. Then when we talk about your faith community, I know you guys have talked about how once you get settled, you want to find a church that you guys like. I would suggest maybe possibly reversing that and doing a little research on some of the churches up there before you decide on which house you buy. And maybe go visit some of those churches that you think might be of interest to you, and then maybe finding one that you like, and then looking for a house that's close enough to that. Maybe that would impact where you live as opposed to finding the community and the house and then trying to find a church that fits into it. Because I know how important your faith is to you. So as your family hopefully expands, that church life and what you want to bring to your children is going to be a priority, And I know that that's going to happen. But maybe just looking at it from another, from the perspective first, before the house, before the community, and hopefully you'll find some success in finding a place where you get a lot of faith support. And then when we talk about with your families, extended families, I know that they're a part of your daily conversations, and you know they know what you guys are going through when you have a test, probably all those sort of things. But really presenting a united front when you feel like maybe somebody overstepped their bounds, and not being afraid to, if one person feels like the in-laws overstepped, to say, you know what, to be courageous enough to have that conversation, because really you might only have to have it once. I mean, I think as parents we all want success for our children, and so to think of it from that perspective too, for the person that feels like their in-laws overstepped, like, hey, they came from a place of love, they want to see us succeed, and those were good intentions, but it doesn't change the fact that they went a little too far. So having that respectful conversation, hey mom, dad, I need your advice, I need your input, but we got this, you know, we took it into consideration, but we're going to be making the decisions. So those are the kind of the areas that I felt like were important as you guys are in this big transition in life. Buying a house, that's big stuff. Talking about when and when you'll expand your family as you're beginning your careers, those are big stuff. But the good thing is you guys have a great relationship, a good foundation, and you'll be able to move that forward with that and increase the success of your family. Yeah. How do you guys feel about
that? You pretty much hit the nail on the head with everything you said. I mean, and your suggestions were great. But yeah, I mean, there are things we need to do to take the stress off, because that's definitely a struggle. I mean, we've always had more stress, I feel, than a lot of people, because we did get married young.
Absolutely.
And that's just an added stress on with school and everything, because then you're like working on a marriage and like trying to keep that going, but also having to go back to school. So I feel like that was, I mean, you really just hit everything. But, and then the fatigue, I mean, we are very fatigued, so we do try to go to bed early, but sometimes that doesn't happen, because again, I have to study, and so he usually can get to bed pretty early, but sometimes you can't fall asleep. So I mean, fatigue is definitely a major thing. And then you know, you said we have been married for almost 3 years, so the boundaries have been getting better, but again, that's something that we still need to work on. And I do understand, I don't have kids yet, so I don't understand like the parents like loving them so much, they just want everything, you know,
to
right
work
for
out.
them.
Yeah.
So I understand that side too, but anyway, that was good.
Good. Well, I really appreciate you guys' time, and like I said, I can't wait to see where your life takes you, because you guys are on a great path. So, thank you.
Thank you.